or this meeting is being recorded. So hi everybody, welcome. My name is Daisy. I am the statewide advocacy manager with Initiate Justice. I use she, her pronouns, and very excited to have you all in space with us tonight. This is our last meeting of 2020. So thank you so much for joining us, being in space with us, and surviving through the work that we've been trying to get through online virtually, since we can no longer meet in person. So just some housekeeping tips before we get our show started. The call is being recorded, so just make sure you mute yourself, and you can ask questions in the chat box that we'll be monitoring throughout the agenda, throughout the meeting, I'm sorry. Be sure to sign in. Antoinette has shared sign in link in the chat box where you can sign in. And as I mentioned before we started recording the call, that we consider you an official Initiate Justice member if you have attended 3 out of 4 consecutive meetings and are involved in some of our committees, which we'll be discussing later on today. But we are also sharing some member packages that will be sent out for our official members later on in the call. So just make sure that you sign in, and that way we can ensure we know who is coming to our meetings and who can receive these packages as we continue to build our outside membership structures. So again, thank you so much for being in space with us. And to get us started, I'm going to pass it over to our healing committee, who's going to kick off our event with a grounding exercise, just to get us all settled in before we get ready for a very packed event that we have tonight for everybody. And I will pass it over to healing. I see Indigo has unmuted herself, so I believe Indigo is going to lead us in a grounding exercise. And this is also kind of a preview of what our healing committee does. So you'll be hearing from Indigo later on, as well as far as what activities our healing committee is involved with. So go ahead and take us away, Indigo, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yes, thank you, Daisy. I've said this before. I love how Daisy runs this meeting. It's so empowering to see someone have us in check with such good energy. So thank you, Daisy. Thank you, IJ. It's great to have everyone on here right now. It's amazing to see how much we've grown as a community. And I wanted to take a couple of moments. The Healing Committee is really here because we heal for us. When we heal, our community gets to heal, our loved ones get to heal. And so really doing away with this idea that we have to put our healing on the back burner in order to be a part of the movement, in order to be powerful and effective in this movement. Healing actually helps us be powerful and helps us be effective. So thank you to everyone who's made this year's healing circles what they have been. And you'll get some updates on when the next ones are for December in a little bit. But right now, I just offer and invite everyone to get into a comfortable position wherever you are, even if you're in the car like me. I'm not driving though. But just get into a comfortable position and take a couple breaths here, deeply in through your nose and out through your mouth. With a sigh, dropping your shoulders, again, in through your nose. Taking in everything that you need to be fully present, holding and exhaling fully and completely, allowing yourself to just be here, be present as you are, breathing in, and with every breath in, holding and exhaling, allowing any judgment from the day to wash away, allowing any negative feelings from the day to just drop with your shoulders. And breathing in, I want us to call to mind a person who has been there in our communities for us this year. As we just breathe in and out at our own pace, I invite you to think about this person. What did they do for you? How did they show up for you? Are you grateful for them? Do they know that you're grateful for them? As we breathe in together, I invite us to welcome feelings of community scenarios where we're able to connect through this really, really tough experience that we're all collectively going through. reminding ourselves that there are still opportunities to show up for others and opportunities for others to show up for us. So taking one more deep breath in, I invite you to ask yourself, what support do you need right now? Maybe it was hard to think of someone who supported you. Maybe it's hard to call to mind feelings of community throughout your recent experiences. As you deeply breathe in, I ask you to ask your heart, what type of support do I need? What type of community am I craving, or am I really wanting right now? As we breathe in again, I just encourage you to know that you have everything that you need to ask for support, to put yourself in situations where you can be swaddled by community, that you deserve to be cradled by people who love you, by energy that is positive and uplifting to your purpose. As we take one more collective breath together, holding and exhaling everything that you don't need for this moment, allowing yourself to be fully present and worthy just as you are. And as we come back to this Zoom room full of amazing people and warriors for justice, I want us to use the next maybe 20 or 30 seconds to think about someone who's in this room who you want to appreciate. Someone who's on the IJ staff, or someone who is a part of our IJ membership or community, maybe a newcomer who you'd like to shout out and appreciate. All you have to say is, I see you. So just go to the chat function, pick anyone, privately message them, and simply say, I see you. And remember, this is not about feeling bad if you don't get a message from someone, but it's about being a community member and offering that affirmation of seeing someone, and visibilizing all of us in this struggle. Because as we know, the system is treacherous in invisibilizing us and isolating us. And so we get to stand against that by seeing each other, uplifting each other, and being affirmed and worthy in this movement. Thank you so much for grounding in with us today. Thank you for participating. And everyone here is doing such great work. And I really appreciate this time to rest and relax during the winter months, because I know we're going to go hard in 2021. So I will pass it back to Daisy. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Inigo, and just so much love that I'm seeing in the chat. And thank you all for participating. And this is important for us to be able to stay grounded, because the work that we do sometimes does get heavy. So we want to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves, and that way, as we continue to work through, we have the energy, the care that we need in order to continue to work towards the goals that we set forth. So again, thank you everybody for participating, and Indigo for leading us in that exercise. So now that we are all grounded, let's go ahead and get this party started, because this is going to be a party, a gangster party, to be a matter of fact. So I'd like to start off by announcing the newest official Initiate Justice member. This person has been in attendance to several of our meetings and has been actively involved in our events. So our newest member this month is going to be Mayra Rios Garcia. I've actually interacted with Mayra several times on social media, who has been active in our events, participating in data entry support, coming to our meetings, and just wanting to definitely be more involved. So welcome, Mayra, as a new official IJ member. We are so lucky to have you, and we appreciate all that you have done for our organization, and we hope that you continue to work with us in the upcoming year. And again, folks, if you attend 3 out of 4 meetings, you are considered an official Initiate Justice member, as well as participating in one of the committees that we have in place. And again, you'll be hearing about what those committees are and what they do a little later on. But those are some of the requirements that we have for our members to actually become official Initiate Justice members. And as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, we actually are going to be having member welcome packages that we'll be sending out to folks. So we are starting with the folks that this year were announced as official Initiate Justice members. And so what will happen is we'll be sending out emails to folks who have been announced in past meetings as official Initiate Justice members. And this will include goodies like Initiate Justice t-shirts, stickers, buttons, and notebooks, just to name a couple of things that we'll be sending in your welcome packet. So if you have been announced as an official Initiate Justice member, you will be receiving an email. And we also have our previous member meetings on YouTube. We usually announce our members at the beginning of the meeting. So if you want to go back and check, usually it's at the very beginning of the meeting when we announce who our members are. So again, welcome Myra, and folks who are new to this space, welcome. We hope that you continue to be involved with our organization, and we hope that you'll also be an official Initiate Justice member in the near future as well. So just wanted to start off with that. And so I'm going to pass it off to my colleague Antoinette, who is going to be talking about some organizational updates. So Antoinette, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much, Daisy. And I'll go ahead and just give a brief introduction. My name is Antoinette Ratcliffe. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am the outside organizing coordinator. I am also a facilitator with the Institute of Impacted Leaders, having formerly, of course, graduated from the Los Angeles cohort of the Institute of Impacted Leaders. So thank you. I'm so excited to just share all of our amazing plans that we have that we're sharing with y'all tonight. So I just want to give some organizational updates. It's the end of the year. We're prepping for 2021. And in doing so, there are a few things that we need y'all's help on, and we want to make sure that you guys are aware of. One of those is our Institute of Impacted Leaders, and I rep it because I'm so grateful for it. So the Institute of Impacted Leaders, we will be running 8 cohorts next year. So with that, we're going to be touching several locations, several communities, and we want your input. What regions, what communities, and what people are looking for us and want us to come to your area to host our Institute of Impacted Leaders. So what that is, for those who do not know, it's a 12-week training. It's a practical training program in which you learn in which impacted people learn to organize communities. You also learn to change statewide policy. You're given practical exercises to directly work with your legislators. And it's a very positive and it's a very powerful cohort. Not only do you get the experience of learning to organize your communities in depth, learning the California state legislative process, but you also get a camaraderie from everyone that you're in that cohort with to continue to advocate for yourself, your loved one, and your community in your own areas. So what I want to plug is the survey that we have, which is our location survey, in which we want to get your input as to where we should be going next. So if that hasn't already been placed in the chat, I'm gonna go ahead and put that in the chat real quick. Let's see. Give me just a moment here to add that to the chat. Uh-oh, sorry about that. Okay, so here is the link for the survey. If y'all can please go ahead and fill that out. If you're interested in joining a cohort or applying for a cohort, we want to know where we should go to. Please take a moment, fill it out. We've had some responses already thus far, so thank you to those who have given your input. And also, there's tons of organizers on this call. You can always tap in with someone to get more information about the Institute. And we also want to share some new job opportunities. So with us running 8 Institute cohorts next year, we need more facilitators. Myself, Graham, Monica, Zykia, we need help running all of these cohorts. So our applications are actually currently live. So if you have graduated and you are currently an outside organizer and you would like to intern run or teach a Institute cohort, please take the time to fill out that application. They are live, and the deadline, I believe, is December 23rd. So make sure that you get your application submitted. It's a great opportunity. It is paid, of course, and you learn some very excellent skills that you can take beyond Initiate Justice in this work that we do. Additional positions that are job openings that will be coming and will be announced soon is going to be our comms manager. We're currently looking for a communications manager. So that application, be on the lookout, is coming soon. We also will be hiring for a deputy director to work directly under Taina in assisting us to continue building power through Initiate Justice. So definitely be on the lookout for those applications. Like I said, the facilitator applications are already live. Don't miss your opportunity to apply for those ones. Some other quick updates, organizational updates, are going to be that our Initiate Justice is actually going to be closed at the end of December. So it's the holidays. We all always need a break, right? So we're going to go ahead and take those last 2 weeks off. We will be closed and we will resume Monday, January 4th. So just keep that in mind. And then another date that I want to plug for our outside organizers, if you haven't already received the email, save the date, and RSVP'd, our outside organizer convening is this Saturday at 10 a.m., from 10 a.m. to 2:30. So please take a moment to RSVP, and I can actually put that link in the chat for you as well. So if you are an outside organizer and you want to be involved in our planning and our strategizing for 2021, then we highly, highly encourage you to RSVP for our outside organizer convening. It's gonna be lit, and we're super excited to take the time to reconvene with all of y'all after being away for so long. Yes, it's still going to be on Zoom, but just go ahead and make sure you RSVP. We're still gonna make the most of it. And that's it for our organizational updates overall. But what I do want to go ahead and do is pass it on to our committees to give their updates. But before I do that, does anybody have questions? Because I know I just threw a lot of information out there. So does anybody have questions before I pass it on to our other areas for updates? Okay, that's great. No questions. Okay, so then let me go ahead and I will pass it right on to our advocacy committee for their updates. So Greg, Sarah, do y'all want to go ahead and take the floor and give us some updates on what's going on in the advocacy committee?
Yes, thank you so much, Antoinette. Good evening, everyone. It's really, really great to see y'all. I was just like reflecting before we started this meeting. It's been like a whole year of these meetings, and like we had like 1 or 2 in person, and then since then everything's been online, but like y'all did not fall off. If anything, y'all got stronger with us during the year with everything that was going on, everything that everybody's been dealing with. So I just wanted to like express like a really deep gratitude and appreciation for all of you. And when you look at everything we accomplished this year, like literally it would not have been possible without you all. Like I'm not just saying that to like flatter y'all, like y'all are our Initiate Justice. You are the ones who are activating your political power, those of others, and are helping us with our historic victories like Prop 17 and other things. So deeply, deeply appreciate all of you for being here with us and for standing strong in community. My name is Greg. I'm the policy manager for IJ. I use he, him, his pronouns. The advocacy committee meets the third Tuesday of each month at 5:30 p.m. So this committee focuses on our policy campaigns that we're currently working on, as well as also some other action items that can involve some local work around maybe Measure J in Los Angeles County, and then also some regulation stuff with CDCR when they announce pending things like that. So we do, right now is kind of like a little bit of a slow time. We were going hardcore all year, and then these past 2 months finished up Prop 17, and now we're just getting ready for next year. We'll be speaking more in depth on policy goals for 2021 coming up later in this evening, so I won't get too much into that now, but just know there's like a lot coming and we're going to need a lot of support. So please do get involved with the advocacy committee if you're interested in learning more. I'll throw my email in the chat in a moment. Also Sarah, our policy fellow, I'll put her email in the chat so y'all can get in touch with us at any time. So the next meeting for us is Tuesday, December 15th at 5:30 p.m., which is like 2 weeks from now. We'll be sending out an agenda next week, and also wanted to announce that we've been brainstorming some new ways to run these committee meetings to make them more collaborative and more horizontal. So it's not just us giving y'all information, but making it more of an integrated experience. So excited to roll that out in December and going forward. And then also just really quickly wanted to plug a family connection survey that we have right now. I'm sure many of you have already filled it out, but we are seeking data and anecdotes and just experiences about just the difficulties we've been encountering in terms of staying in touch with our loved ones before the pandemic and even during right now as we're going through it. We'll be using this information to inform our family connection bill that we're working on for next year, as well as future policy campaigns and things like that. So with the survey, we are looking for only 15 more responses to get us to 500. But once we get there, we're going to be raffling off some shirts for those who have completed the survey and some other IJ swag. So make sure you get yourself entered into that. And, if you get lucky, maybe you'll win a shirt or something. But we'll be announcing the results of that survey and some of the macro findings at future meetings, probably as early as the 15th at our next advocacy committee meeting. Oh yeah, thank you, Antoinette, for throwing that in the chat. There's the link right there. Appreciate you. So yeah, please do fill that out. Help us get to 500 and maybe win yourself a shirt. And I'll see y'all later this evening to talk more about our policy goals for 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. I definitely appreciate that. So yes, I did put the Family Connection survey in the chat. Keep in mind, not only do you get to win a t-shirt, that's awesome, but this is a chance for you to get your voice and your loved one's voice heard and recognized, and actually implement it into a piece of legislation that we're going to be pushing. So we definitely want y'all's input, and I'm sure your loved ones would love for you to go ahead and contribute to something as magnificent as this. So don't forget to fill that out. We're very near to our 500 responses, so complete that survey as soon as you can. At this moment, I'm gonna go ahead and we'll take questions at the end. So at this moment, I'm actually gonna go ahead and pass it on to Lee with our Inside Organizing Committee.
What is up, you social justice gangsters? Welcome to IJ's monthly meeting, and only Greg can drop macro findings in his spill and make it sound cool. I appreciate that. So the IO committee, my name's Lee Gibson. I'm the Inside Organizing Manager with Initiate Justice. And so I want to tell you a little bit about what our committee does. Obviously, we have fun every meeting that we have, and you can check our next one on 12/18. So IJ, they know that to solve a problem, the main people affected by that problem are going to be the solution. They're going to be the ones that are going to be able to provide it. Mass incarceration is obviously a problem within California. Inside directly impacted are going to be our foundation in solving mass incarceration. The IO committee, what we do several things to assist those inside to end mass incarceration. We educate those inside about civic engagement. We train members to organize their peers, their loved ones, their families, their friends, to change laws and policies, and with a passion and a pursuit of prison abolition. So we do IO phone training, which is our inside organizer phone training. They go through a packet, they go through a rigorous training process, and we need you all to be able to kind of volunteer and help us train those inside. You'll have direct connection with those inside, and you'll be able to correspond or at least talk to them through phone. Also, what we're working on currently is the monthly newspaper. We send those in every month, and we update them about bills, we update them about policies, we give them action items, and we have them pursue and organize those inside, activate those inside, engage with their family, engage with their peers in order to change the rules, the laws, and the policies that are actually oppressing and suppressing them. Also, we have a monthly newspaper that we just rolled out. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But what that does right there is it brings the voices from within and the voices from outside together through poetry, prose, artwork, whatever it is that we can do to be able to connect those inside with us outside to be able to change this tragic mass incarceration here in California. So if you're interested in joining the IO committee, please drop me a line at my email address. I'm sure Daisy or Antoinette will drop it in right now. And reach out to me. We'll put you on the list. We're going to be meeting on 12/18, and then next month going forward, we'll be meeting on the first Thursday of every month. So please, let's go. With that, I'll pass it back to Antoinette.
Thank you, Lee. And yeah, Daisy went ahead and threw that in the chat. It's lee@initiatejustice.org. So if you're looking to assist with the Inside Organizing Committee, go ahead and drop him an email and he'll get you set up very rapidly. And at this moment, we're going to go ahead and actually pass it on to our Healing Committee who kicked us off. So Healing with Rashida, if you want to go ahead and take the floor and give us some updates on what's going on with the Healing Committee.
Yes, ma'am. Hopefully, can you guys hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Can? Okay. I am also in the car and I'm not driving. But again, like Indigo said earlier, we just want to take the time to thank everyone who has been in attendance, who has provided any insight, any feedback, who has showed up, being vulnerable, who has created space, who has just been in community and wanting and willing to heal with us and trusting us to facilitate and guide discussion. So again, thank you. That doesn't go unnoticed. For December, our updates are as follows. Our Men's Healing Circle, again, is every second Monday. And every second Monday. So that would be December 14th. Again, same time, facilitated by Granny and Manny. Then we have our Formerly Incarcerated Circle, which is hosted by Graham and Miss Betty. That will be December 21st. We also have our People with Incarcerated Loved One Circle, which will be held December 16th. Hosted by me and Indigo. And then we have our Healing Committee Circle, which is December 28th. And that is our meeting, but it's going to be specific this meeting to just talk about and just, again, be in community for everyone who has been able to support us and just talk and laugh and just go out with a bang, really, for the new year. We do have 2 requests from the Healing Committee. We are looking for facilitators and to train facilitators for our healing circle. So if anyone is interested in that opportunity, please reach out to me and Indigo. We have an opportunity to support with our Take Care Tuesday posts, which are posted every Tuesday, whether it's informing others about self-care, whether it's quotes. We really could use support in that. And then again, we're just encouraging everyone to tell a friend who is in need of healing in a safe space, in a fun space, in a sacred space to join our team or just show up because again, we are in this together and we heal for us. Just reiterating that we heal for us. So if you guys have any questions, please drop them in the chat. But if not, that is it for us, the Healing Committee. And again, thank you for everyone who contributes because there is no healing circle.
Thank you, Rashida. It looks like she might have cut out a little bit, but she was wrapped. So thank you so much, Rashida, Indigo. And Rashida and Indigo, they really live this healing. Even if you experience them outside of the healing circles, they are definitely true warriors for healing. So thank you, Indigo and Rashida, for everything that y'all do in keeping us sane, right? So next, I'm going to pass it on to Crystal with our Inside Membership Committee.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Crystal, she, her, hers, and I am the Inside Membership Coordinator. I am responsible for managing mail and turning names into our database and building and strengthening our relationship with members on the inside. I first want to mention and give a huge shout out to all our volunteers because with all of your help, we are able to end the year with 34,318 members on the inside. So thank you so much for all of the work that you do. We really appreciate it. With that being said, we have more names that we have to input and we have given ourselves a deadline of Thursday, December 10th. So that all of the people waiting can also receive our newsletter that's rolling out at the end of the month. So if you're interested in that, please email me at crystal@initiatejustice.org and I can help you with the process. This will be done on your own time. Additionally, we also have mail that we need to respond to. So we will be hosting a mail night on Tuesday, December 15th at 6:30. We will put the link in the chat in a second. And if you're new and a first timer for both the mail night and the data entry, don't worry about it. We will guide you through the process. And lastly, the Inside Membership Committee meetings will take place the second Wednesdays of the month. So the next one is this upcoming Wednesday, December 9th at 5:30. So if you're interested or have any other questions or concerns, please email me. Thank you, and I'll pass it back to Daisy.
Thanks, Crystal. And I was just dropping in the chat the link that Crystal had mentioned to RSVP. So for folks that have been following Initiate Justice, y'all know that one of the things that we are most well known for mail nights, which we used to have in person pre-COVID, and then we had to switch to virtual. We took a hiatus for a minute, but we are now back and hoping to end the year with one last mail night because we do need your help with answering mail that we've had pending. And so that's going to happen on Tuesday, December 15th at 6:30, right after the Policy Advocacy Committee meeting. So you get a quick 15-minute break if you attend to that, and then you can join us for the mail night. It's going to be a fun event. You'll be in community with folks. We'll be answering letters from folks on the inside. Again, this is just kind of a way for us to really end the year with a bang because 2020 really had us shift the way we do our work. And so this is just a preview of what's to come in the year. And again, for any questions, please contact Crystal, Crystal at Initiate Justice. Crystal will be the person that will be managing our Inside Membership. And we'll also be leading the Inside Membership Committee next year, which is something that we will be reactivating again. So excited for Crystal joining our team and leading us in that direction. So with that being said, we'll open it up for any questions that folks have. We have a couple of minutes for questions for any of the events that folks presented today or the committees before we jump into the next session of our agenda. So if folks have questions about what was just presented by our committee leads, feel free to unmute yourself, ask your question, and we will address accordingly.
Yeah, hi, my name is Elizabeth Hess. I'm wondering if you guys have any update of the credit expansion.
I see Greg shaking his head, yes.
Oh, yeah. I can definitely hop in on that. So yeah, we know that that is going to be announced in December. So sometime this month, maybe the next couple of weeks. And when that information is announced by CDCR, we're going to be circulating templates and letters of support that you can use to submit public comment to CDCR directly. Because we are already anticipating some problematic elements of that expansion, namely that we know that it's not going to be retroactive. I think we can safely assume there may be some carve-outs. So we will definitely be up on that as soon as they're released in the next couple of weeks, and you will be hearing a lot about that from us, in particular the Advocacy Committee, if you want to come get involved with us there.
Awesome, sounds great, thank you.
And yes, for those, if you are interested in the Advocacy Committee, more information on submitting letters of support for the credit or earning and things of that nature, it's Greg at initiatejustice.org. And he'll be happy to get you signed up with the Advocacy Committee. Do we have other questions?
Hi, my name's Eileen Howard. I have a husband who is in Satif State Prison, and my brother's in High Desert State Prison. How do they become members?
Absolutely.
Excellent question for our inside organizer, Lee. But just to briefly mention that anybody who's on the inside can become a member if you sign them up via our website, and we'll share the link in a second where you can add them for the newsletter. But Lee, if you can just briefly talk about more in-depth work that folks on the inside who are inside organizers, what they do, and that can maybe help address also that part of Eileen's question.
Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for teeing that up for me. Eileen, like she said, you can sign up your family, your loved ones right there on the website. You can put their their name and their number on there. We'll make sure that they're on the mailing list for membership. And then if they want to extend that and be an inside organizer, they can hit me up at 1035 South Grand Avenue, Suite 300, Los Angeles, California, 90015. They can tell me that they want to become an inside organizer. I'll send them an intro packet, tell them what it consists of, how much time commitment that it's going to be, what it is that they need to do. Once they agree to that, then I'll send them a training packet and we'll get them rolling, and we'll teach them how to inside organize from and advocate and activate those inside.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Lee. And then for everybody, I just dropped in the chat the link that you can click on to add if your loved one, if they're incarcerated, to our mailing list. And again, as was mentioned by several members on our team a few moments ago, that we are planning on sending out our seasonal newsletter in the next couple of weeks. So please be sure to add them as soon as possible. That way they can get that newsletter before it gets mailed out. And so we have time for one more question before we move on to the agenda. So I see Sharon is raising her hand. So Sharon, if you can unmute yourself and ask your question, and then we'll move on to the next section of our agenda.
Sharon, are you able to unmute yourself and speak? I don't know.
It's okay, Sharon, if you do have a question, you can also email us at info@initiatejustice.org, and we'll be sure to, and that's for anybody actually, if there's additional questions, feel free to email us at info@initiatejustice.org. If somebody could drop that in the chat, that would be great, and we can get back to you that way as well. But for the sake of time, and just to keep us moving our agenda, because again, we do have some fun, exciting information to share out with everybody, we'll move on to the next section, which is our breakout session group. So some of the information that we are going to be sharing tonight will be regarding our plans for the upcoming year, including our goals as an organization that focuses on the abolition of prisons, which is eliminating prisons. And so to prepare us for those conversations, we're going to be doing breakout rooms, which means that we're going to be going into small groups of 3 or 4, depending on how many people are in the room. And we'll be asking you all in your groups to answer just 3 short questions in conversation to prepare us for what we'll be presenting to you tonight. So the questions that we'll be asking, and we'll be sharing this to everybody so that way you can see it as you're having your conversations, are: what does the abolishment of prisons and defunding the carceral system mean to you? And what would you imagine a system of care looking like for your community? As well as what steps do you think that we need to take in order to get us there? And again, we'll drop these questions in the chat and make it available to everybody as you are in your breakout groups. But this is to help us prepare for the information that we'll be presenting everybody in a little bit after we reconvene in the larger group. We're also going to be sharing in the chat a link to a notes document that every group will have access to. We'd love for everybody to, in each group, when you click on the document, you'll see that there is a number for the breakout session that you are in, and you'll have a number assigned to your group. If you can jot in there some of the notes that some of the ideas that folks are sharing, because that's going to be helpful for us in one of the pieces that we'll be releasing next year, which we'll be sharing out when we come back as a larger group. So again, we'll be sharing the document, the link to the document in the chat. And if somebody from each group could just volunteer to take those notes from each group, that will help us with our larger plans for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and split us into our breakout sessions, and we'll be coming back at, let's see what I have on the agenda, around 7:25, and that way we can just have a conversation as a larger group regarding what folks came up with, and then from there it'll be the fun part where we'll be unveiling how that contributes to the work that we're doing in the upcoming years. So I'm going to split everybody in groups, and hopefully that is going to, let me just make sure I have everybody set up right, facilitate some fruitful conversations with everybody. So All right, looks like we're going to be going in groups. Have fun, have good conversations. See you all back in a couple of minutes.
That's wonderful. Real quick though, can y'all take a look at our Family Connection survey because it's at 5:03.
Yes.
It's at 5:03. I don't know why I have it pulled up. But shout out to everyone who filled out the Family Connection survey because we definitely got up to 5:03 in just this past few minutes. So thank you to everyone who gave us your input, filled out the survey. Don't stop, keep filling it out, keep sharing it. But yeah, Greg, we're at 5:03 on the Family Connection survey. So they got us there.
Where is it at?
Where-
Where's the survey at? It's not even in my link. Like, I don't even, my chat is like empty here.
It's empty. Well, that's probably because you left and came back from the group. So I can put the Family Connection survey in the chat again. Let me just get it.
Also on our Instagram, right? In our link tree.
Yes.
Is it? Okay. I probably have it in the emails too. But I'll do it right this minute if I did not do it.
Awesome, thanks, Monica. And just for folks who are coming back, Antoinette was just sharing that while everybody was in their breakouts room, we checked the Family Connection survey, and from the time that we announced the ask of everybody to share out that link, we met our goal. We are now at 503 responses. But of course, keep sharing. You know, we definitely want more responses. But thank you all so much for taking the time to take that survey. And apologies for the confusion with the Zoom. Some of you might have seen me pop into your rooms to share the document with the notes. So it was just a surprise visit for me just to share that document with you all. But it was nice to just kind of see conversations happening as I was popping in there to do that. So Antoinette just shared the link to the survey in the chat if you haven't done that survey yet. And there's a description of what that survey is about. When you click on that, feel free to share that with as many people as you know who have loved ones who are incarcerated in California, state prisons and county jails, fire camps included. Please spread the word. And yeah, excited to have everybody now kind of share back on what we discussed in our breakout sessions. And Antoinette, I'm going to pass this to you now, who's going to facilitate the conversation.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So yeah, shout out to everyone who completed the survey. And let's go ahead and kind of discuss and see who wants to share some of the things that we talked about in our breakout groups, something that maybe stood out to you, maybe an aha moment, or just something that was very impactful that your group discussed. So the first question was, what does abolishing prisons and defunding carceral systems mean to you? You can either start there or just anything that you all might want to share that your group discussed. So feel free to unmute yourself and let us know what y'all talked about. How do y'all feel about abolition? What does that mean for you?
I'll just throw out real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
We had a great group, but one of the concepts that stuck with me is hearing Miss Betty say that this isn't a new concept. We started in a world without prisons, and so we ought to be able to get back to that. I just thought that was beautiful. We had a great group.
Yeah, thank you. And absolutely, prisons are fairly new. And that is something that, you know, is a concept that a lot of us do not understand. We didn't initially have prisons, even police, right? So police weren't even initially thought of until slave catchers. And then in turn, we had police after that. So to think about the fact that those are new concepts and we did live in a world previously without it. No, thank you for sharing that. Did anyone else learn something or something stuck out to them in their group?
I'll share. I just love how it ended, and you know, I was grateful that we had such a nice group, and Taina was in our group. And the thing that sticks with me is she said, you know, abolition looks like caring for people, you know, and this is about trauma, you know, like helping people, and just throwing them into prison when they step out or whatever, you know, isn't the answer. You know, we need a different solution to the problem. We need to get to the root of the problem and solve it there. The stuff that we're doing now doesn't make anybody safe. and it doesn't help anybody, and it holds people back for generations. So.
Yes, thank you, Crispy, for sharing. And that's care is one thing that we want to always focus on, because a lot of times those who are impacted and those who become involved with the system, they need care. Those are some of the things that they are void of, and that leads to that harm. And then of course the system just compounds that harm. So if care is initially our focus, then we don't need prisons, right? If we shift our focus to people and caring for ourselves and our people in our communities. Yeah, thank you, Crispy. And shout out to Crispy as one of our data entry volunteers as well. Did anyone else have something they wanted to share?
Hi, my name is Nadine. I just wanted to call out, like always appreciating just constant reminders, I guess is the way I'll put it. I often like move through the world talking about like, you know, abolishing for-profit prisons. But, you know, there are also like state-run facilities that are obviously highly problematic, federal facilities, and just, you know, receiving that reminder to always be critical, to always dig deeper, and to remember that, you know, it's just, there's so much deeper than the surface that we can get to in any one meeting or article or march or whatever. So just that reminder is always appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, Nadine. And that's important. We all need reminders. I myself need reminders every day to practice abolition in my own life. And we all need those reminders. So yeah, absolutely. Anything else that anyone wanted to share?
Hi, yes, this is Mary, and I was part of group 4, and sorry we started a little late, but I think it's interesting to hear that, you know, despite that the fact that we were all in different groups, it just seems like everybody has the same concept and idea of what it means to abolish, you know, the prison system and what it stands for. And I think we came to the conclusion that, you know, one thing would be definitely different alternatives to incarceration and immediate release, you know, utilizing those alternatives to incarceration, because nobody should be caged. And I think we also discussed providing support and ensuring that, you know, those folks have support in the community, and you know, overhauling the system that marginalizes and, you know, disadvantages people. And I think another thought that we also had, at least myself, was that, you know, just meeting people's basic human needs is a big part of, you know, why people even end up in, you know, incarcerated in the first place. And also meeting the mental health needs of people.
Yes,
I
thank you.
think that's pretty much. You're welcome. Thank you.
Beth, you had your hand raised? Yes.
I was trying to unmute myself. Sorry.
You got it?
I do now. I'm kind of new to IJ, but I'm not new to being impacted by incarceration. But I would just like to say to all of you, I don't live in LA County. I'm in San Diego County. But I think that Measure J was an excellent, you know, beginning. You know what I mean? Defund, taking that money, because let's talk about how much money really is flowing through these systems. Taking that money and reinvesting it into that care, into actual programs that are going to help homelessness, that are going to address, you know, addiction, that are going to address the school to prison pipeline. You know what I mean? In our group, I really felt like that was a great representation of the actual steps. And there was a gentleman that was in our group, and I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. And we were talking about he was actually informing me on some of the bills and stuff that had been written about people's mental health and alternatives to prison, and how the system is not helping him because of the failures and breakdowns. And it was, I think, something written into law by Jerry Brown. And so it's just, I feel like the more that we can all be together in this space and learn, because again, I'm just learning this, the more impact we're gonna have. And I am so thankful to y'all, because this has impacted me for a while, and I've never had a space to be like, how do I fix this? I can't do this by myself. You know, the weight of me, and it started with your healing committee. I saw y'all on Instagram and I was like, I need healing. I can't take this. You know what I mean? So, but I won't talk too much, but Measure J was excellent. So you people in LA, like, kudos to you. I still wish I lived there, but I had to come home and be by my mom and dad. So thank you.
Hi.
Go
ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
Go ahead, Paul. I talk all the time.
Okay. Well, I was the person that Betty just mentioned, and I was referencing AB 1810. I don't know how many people are familiar with it, but it's a bill that would divert people that meet certain criteria to a mental health treatment program rather than facing trial and prison. And if they successfully, are remediated in this program, they're released and the charges are dropped. And it's a great bill. It's a great program. The problem is there are hardly any mental health facilities in California that meet the security requirements of the state and the law. So that's an area that wouldn't require, it doesn't seem to me, a lot of correction. And studies show that 50% to 75% of people who are incarcerated could benefit with mental health treatment.
I would just like to add that in our group, we was talking about hurt people, and healed people help people. And the system has set us up to be hurt people. That way they can divide and conquer. And so the breaking of the system is to heal and help. And we can do that from right where we stand right now, by building that village back up and operating from a village foundation. Because the village takes care of itself. The village disciplines from a place of love. So Angela Davis said it best, prisons are obsolete. And so now is the time to build that foundation of the village, which is us. And we can rebuild everything else from there that we want it to be. We can't abolish prisons, but we must first have to become the village. And that means that everyone on this link right here has to become not just at this meeting, but in these groups involved in getting it done so that we can build the village to bring them home and abolish the prisons. Because until we have the foundation, if we bring them home right now, they're going to be just like they were during slavery. When they brought them out of slavery, they ended up being prisoners again because there was no thought to what to care for them afterwards. So they just was like, free us free. And then everybody got free. And then what? They hadn't prepared a place for them. So we have, as the village, have to prepare a place from them, from the foundation. But we can begin the healing and the help from here, which is abolishing prisons. Check.
Thank you, Ms. Betty, and always dropping that mic and, leaving us with, words of inspiration. But we so appreciate you being part of our organization, an outside organizer, and just someone that really inspires us to keep doing this work with a lot of love, bravery, fierceness. So thank you, Ms. Betty, for being you and for being here with us tonight. I'm seeing a lot of questions in the chat about wanting to repost links. So they are being reshared, but just wanting to flag for everybody that as long as you sign in tonight, we actually will be sending all that information to everybody in a follow-up email. We usually try to get that sent out within a few days after our meeting tonight. So just make sure you sign in. And we also are going to be sending that in an email. But thank you so much, everybody, for your contribution to this conversation, because this is important for what we are setting up for the upcoming year. And so I'll go ahead and push us into this next section, which is where we are going to be unveiling what our plans are going to be for the upcoming year. So I'll kick us off with one of the most exciting projects that I'm excited to announce, and then pass it off to each of our departments, where they'll be announcing what the plans are going to be for the upcoming year, and then we'll wrap it up with taking questions at the end, and just get ready to get to work this year after we come back from our break. So again, be sure to sign in. I think folks are dropping in the sign in the chat box so that you can sign in. And so I'll go ahead and start with unveiling our Abolition in Action, which some folks are familiar with. If you're new, basically we have been having these conversations all year about planning and developing a blueprint for what we need to do to get to live in a world without prisons. And so the first thing that we are going to be releasing as part of this overall package that we're going to be unveiling is a vision. And that's a statement that we are looking to release in January about what that would look like. And some of those are things that y'all touched on in this conversation that we just had. And some of them are things that I saw in the notes folks had in their breakout rooms. So those are all things that we are going to be taking into account to develop our vision, to really be able to help folks see what that means, because we often talk about abolition at Initiate Justice in the work that we do, how that plays a role in the legislative efforts that we work on, the campaigns and so forth, because for us, that really is our goal. Is as an organization, we seek to end mass incarceration. We want to get rid of the world without prisons, without jails, without having to release on these systems of punishment. And so we want to replace that with systems of care. And so with your input tonight, that's going to help us develop that vision that we are going to be releasing in January. And that's going to really be helpful for folks who maybe are new to that idea and that concept, and still maybe struggle with what that actually means. So that's kind of our first thing that we're going to be doing in January, is releasing that short vision, just to really get folks their feet wet with that idea and that concept. So be on the lookout for that. That's going to be the first thing that we'll be doing in January, is releasing that vision. And then following that, we'll actually be releasing a report, which is going to be our Abolition in Action blueprint for how we're going to put this vision into practice. What steps do we need to take to start moving towards this world without prisons, without jails? And so that's something that what's going to be following with our bill package, which our policy team will be talking about when we get to their section in a moment. But that report is really going to lay the blueprint and the foundation for what we need to start doing to get there. And so with the survey responses that we have from folks on the outside, that's really going to help also craft that report that we're working on. So that's going to be released in February. And then we also are working to develop a podcast that we want to release next year that will have us focusing on really shifting the current culture regarding serious cases, because often in this movement we come across folks who are like, well, what about the rapists and the murderers? What do we do when it comes to certain categories of people that have these notorious cases that folks really are kind of hesitant about? And so for us, in order for us to move people to where we want them to be, to help us get to our end goal, we need to start shifting minds, shifting the narrative, shifting the culture. And so our goal with this podcast is to do that in order to really humanize folks who are, these conversations are about, in our efforts towards moving towards a world of abolition. And so those are all things that we are looking to unveil in the upcoming year. And really excited about, sharing that with everybody, because we have been having these conversations as a team all year, and just really excited to share that with everybody. Before I move on to the next department, I'll give space to anybody on the team who may want to chime in on this before passing it off to the next department update. All right, cool. So then with that being said, we're going to go ahead and pass it off to our policy department, who's going to talk about the plans that we have in store for next year. So Sarah and Greg, feel free to take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Daisy. Let me pass it to Sarah to kick us off talking about the Family Connection Bill.
Yeah, so this year, the Family Connection Bill is going to focus mainly on increasing the number and access to phones on the inside and expanding / guiding the video visitation program that the CDCR announced a few weeks ago. The portion that focuses on increasing the literal number of phones and working phones is exciting, in itself because it'll help increase family connections. But we also wanted to highlight that it's really helping lay the foundation for future legislation. So, for example, if legislation next year in the future comes that wants to eliminate or substantially reduce the cost of phone calls, this bill will create the needed structure and capacity for the influx of that phone use. So it's also really exciting for the future foundational work that it's building. And specifically, that section is going to mandate a specific number of working phones per number of people. It's going to increase appointments and limit the degree that phone use can be used. It's going to limit the degree to which phone use can be reduced during periods of lockdowns or as a punitive measure. And then the video visitation portion is going to focus on, as I mentioned earlier, expanding the current CDCR program, and specifically it's going to make it permanent. It's going to require it remains free, prohibit it uses restricting visits as a disciplinary measure, increase the frequency and times of video visitation without reducing in-person visits. It mandates the inclusiveness of the program by making it available to the entirety of the CDCR population, and prohibits using individuals' conviction or status to restrict or revoke visits. So those are the two main sections. And then also the bill has a mail correspondence component to address some of the unnecessary delays in mail. And it's going to require that all mail coming in and out of prisons take no more than 2 additional days than it would being sent anywhere else in that general community. So that's really exciting. And lastly, on the Family Connections bill is we'll hopefully have an author ready to announce by the time we see all y'all next month. So that's exciting. And with that, I'll pass it to Greg.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. And just again, all the survey responses are really helping us to inform that Family Connection bill. So again, thank you everyone who completed that survey. I'm going to talk about 3 things. 2 items are bills that we had earlier this year that were dropped due to the pandemic and the condensed timeline that was forced on the legislative calendar. So earlier this year, we were working on ACR 186, which is a resolution that was authored by Assemblymember Sydney Comlager in the LA area. A resolution in general doesn't change anything, right? It's non-binding in the sense that it doesn't change laws, it doesn't change policies, but what it does is it's a statement of values, right? And so ACR 186 was a statement that extreme sentencing needs to stop. Right? It's an acknowledgement from legislators, the folks who are crafting state policies and state laws, that we are giving out too much time, that mass incarceration is a failed policy, and that we need to explore alternatives, such as alternatives to incarceration, community investment, and some of the things we were talking about tonight. So the resolution, while it does not change anything immediately, I still believe it's a very valuable tool in terms of enabling you to run it back in a few years later and just providing that runway where you can say, when there is a bigger bill that does address extreme sentencing, you can say, oh, hey, by the way, you voted on this resolution saying extreme sentencing needs to go. Well, now here's a bill that actually does it, right? And having folks on the record can become a really powerful leverage point when we're lobbying and we're trying to secure votes. So the resolution will be reintroduced in early January, also by Assemblymember Comlager. I also want to talk about AB 3160, which was our programming and credits bill that was introduced earlier this year by Assemblymember Mark Stone. Really, AB 3160 is really heartbreaking to think about especially there were a few provisions of 3160 that would have made the past 9 months much different. Specifically, 3160 has a accountability mechanism that mandates that programming continues during lockdowns. So something we've now seen for 9 months is that CDCR has halted pretty much all, most if not all, of rehabilitative programming, which for many people is the lifeline. And you know, through these programmings, you earn credits, and with these credits, right, that's how you can get yourself closer to coming home. So we know that CDCR outwardly talks about how much they are invested in rehabilitation, right? And they make public comments, and they have all this posturing that they do care deeply about it, and that they do want individuals to be accessing these programmings. But what we've seen from the past 9 months is that was probably never the case, right? But it's also not the case during the pandemic, right? And if they claim they care about healthcare and programming, well, both of those we know are not the case after seeing these past 9 months, right? I don't want to go down a rabbit hole with that, but we've all seen how horribly both those things have gone, right? So 3160 is a way to hold CDCR accountable to the R, right? To the rehabilitation. So besides just the lack of programming during lockdowns, there's just a whole plethora of like roadblocks that folks have to deal with who are incarcerated if they do want to be accessing these programs, right? Such as like year-long wait lists to get into certain programs. Like, are you kidding me? Like, we're asking these folks, right, to do the deep, deep inner work, right? That like, I'm gonna call myself out. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that work out here, right? But we're asking folks to do that on the inside, despite all these barriers in this setting, right? But then making it so that that's virtually impossible to even get into those programs and access it in the first place, right? I mean, the whole premise is just so ridiculous, right? And then you're gonna use that to deny someone their freedom, saying they have not done enough programs. Well, then why are you making it so hard to get into the programs, right? Like, the whole thing is just such just an impossible feedback loop that like, it has been so necessary to look at this issue and dive into it for so long. And we had a bill earlier this year that, if it were already in place, would have started to address some of those really common issues, right? So the 3160 is a bill that I'm really excited to get to work on again. Likewise, it'll be introduced in January, so next month, really like in a month or so. We'll get that going. We'll get that going through the system. We will get that passed, and then we will just make CDCR accountable to everything that they're publicly saying they're already doing, which we all know is BS. So we have those two bills that were previous reincarnations of bills that were dropped earlier this year. And they're going to have new numbers and everything, so you won't see it referred to as AB 3160 starting next year. We'll just call it our programming and credits bill or things of that nature. And the last thing I want to talk about is not finalized yet, so I don't want to jinx it. I'm kind of like a kid in the candy store right now, like when we're shopping all these ideas and brainstorming. But we're really looking closely at the issue of gun enhancements. And how enhancements are in many ways the engines of these extreme sentences. So in California, we have a law called the 1020 Life Gun Enhancement Law that says if you are using a firearm during the commission of a felony, a violent felony as defined by the Penal Code, section 6675, right, that you can then add on to somebody's base term 10, 20, or a life sentence, right? So just really quickly, I'll use my friend as an example. His name is Natil. He got 28 years, 3 years for an attempt crime, 25 years for using a firearm, right? So he's now been down for about a decade, about 10 years, which is 3 times as long as the base offense, right? But then not even halfway to completing the full sentence because of this enhancement, right? And the enhancements are, I think, getting a lot more scrutiny recently, which is really, really exciting that there is more attention and that just more energy is being put towards addressing these enhancements. But that's something that we really want to focus in on next year. So we are still in the exploration phase of looking what that can look like. How can we address the 1020 life law gun enhancement? How we can bring that down? How do we just eliminate it entirely? A lot of research going into that, but we will also have our 4th bill that will be addressing gun enhancements one way or the other. Now, of course, all enhancements need to go, gang enhancements, all of them need to go. But I think for us, we're going to be focusing in on the gun enhancements as the first place to start. Given that we know, I believe it's about 40,000, so maybe like half, maybe a little bit less than half of the incarcerated population does have these gun enhancements. So for us, we really want to start there, and then just keep it building, keep it moving. So that's our overall legislative package. I know Sarah and I were talking a lot, so I do want to open up places for questions. And also, of course, please come to the advocacy committee. That's where we're going to talk about these things in more depth, talk about the plan for next year. Every single one of these bills is going to have just a heavy lift and a lot of work involved. So we're going to need all the support we can get. But yes, please do ask some questions or anything right now if it's okay to take a few minutes.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. And if folks have questions for Greg or Sarah about some of the things that they just mentioned, feel free to unmute yourself or drop your question in the chat. And, you know, we'll get them answered for you as best we can.
Hi, I have a question, Greg. Are you guys working it on making it retroactive or just focusing on it as is?
Yeah. That's a really, really great question, Shayla. So everything IJ does is retroactive, right? Because how are we working for freedom and liberation if we're saying this bill doesn't affect you? So that is like a very, very important principle for us, and something that just really, really glad you asked that question, because that is something that's just so fundamentally important to us. So yes, anything IJ puts its stamp of approval on and is sponsoring and getting involved in will 100% be retroactive, so that we're freeing everyone. Which is really the goal of what we're doing with IJ.
Does anybody else have any questions for our policy team? I'm not seeing any in the chat, but thank you for that question. Greg, it looks like a lot of people are nominating you for president, so I guess we're gonna have to do something about that if we keep getting folks. And it looks like there is a question in the chat, if we have any updates on 965.
Yeah, so another really important thing. So unfortunately, 965, there's not a lot of new updates to share. That we are still looking at a January 1st, 2022 implementation date. So we still are a year away. We know that some point next year, the regulations for AB 965 implementation will open, right? And that will be our opportunity to really go hard with our advocacy. Yep, thank you, Nancy. Yeah, those are coming at some point next year, right? And once that opens, we have to be loud, right? We have to let them know that A, it's ridiculous, you're taking 2.5 years to implement this law, and B, you cannot ignore the legislative intent of AB 965, right? You cannot decide arbitrarily to only be applying one type of Prop 57 credit to somebody's youth offender date. But going past that, right, you need to be applying these Prop 57 credits to someone's earliest possible parole date, whether that's their elderly parole date, whatever it may be, right? You cannot only decide to do one type of credit to some group, to one population, right? So we're gonna go so hard once that opens up, and they're gonna know what our demands are, right? We are not gonna be silent. I'm gonna be counting on every single person to be asking everybody they know to also be submitting public comment. Once that opens next year, that's gonna be a really, really big moving target for us. So really, really appreciate that question, Danielle. They're gonna hear us when that comes out. We will not go down silently. And I see there's another question about 3 strikes. I know maybe Taina, do you want to talk about that? Taina is working with the Repeal of 3 Strikes Coalition.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Greg. And thanks for that question, Stephanie. So y'all might be aware that there's a coalition developing over the last couple of months called the Repeal 3 Strikes Coalition, which is co-led by Earlonne Woods, who's the founder of Ear Hustle, and Zykia Prince, who's also an Initiate Justice outside organizer. So what we are planning to do, and I'm a member of the steering committee, what we are planning to do is getting an initiative on the ballot in 2022 to abolish the 3 strikes law completely, to retroactively get rid of it. So this is something that is obviously going to be a very, very heavy lift. And so that's why, we're starting the work early. So y'all might have seen for Giving Tuesday, Initiate Justice didn't ask for money for us. We asked for y'all to support the Repeal 3 Strikes Coalition. We need to raise as much money as we can. It's, grassroots org at this point. And polling is showing that a majority of Californians still strongly support the 3 strikes law. So we have a lot of work that we need to do, and we're gonna need to raise a lot of money. So if y'all want to support that, the main thing that you can do right now is donate and share our fundraisers. The fundraiser is on the Initiate Justice social media. I can also drop a link right here in the chat unless somebody beats me to it. But that's the main thing that we can do right now to support. And then as we start to organize more, we'll come to y'all with more demands, because we're going to need people to help us collect signatures. We're going to need people to help us like spread the word. But in the meantime, like please just donate and help us share the donation link. Thank you, Daisy, for dropping the link.
Yeah, thanks, Taina. And somebody had also asked in the chat how to find out or how to stay, I guess, updated with bills that pertain to folks on the inside. So something that the advocacy committee did this year was shared a document of bills that we were following. So definitely highly encourage folks to plug into the advocacy committee meeting, because that really is where folks are really plugging in the know of what's going on. And so again, Greg and Sarah co-lead that committee. As long as you sign in tonight, we'll be sure to send the information out to everybody with regards to how to plug into the various committees. But Greg also shared his email as well as Sarah's email in the chat box, so you can reach out to them as well. But definitely encourage everybody to plug into the committees so that way you can be stay in the know of what's going on. And so additional questions can be sent to our info@initiatejustice.org email, or you can email any of us. The emails have been in the chat and folks will share them in there. But for the sake of time, I'm going to move it over to our next updates, which will be from our inside organizing department. So Lee, I will pass it to you.
Thanks so much, Daisy, Greg, Taina, for giving us a little bit of the wisdom of what's going to be happening right now with IJ moving forward. And every bit of these bills and these policies that we're going after are just taking another chink out of this armor that's been like encasing the demon of mass incarceration. And so abolition is absolutely our movement, but we understand that it's going to take a piece by piece for us to pull it apart, just like they built it. And with that said, you know, with the inside organizing, I'll focus on 2, maybe 3 things right now. One is our IO training program and our inside correspondence course that we're going to be creating. So currently right now I have 153 inside organizers, and my goal is to have 250 by the end of the year. I'm going to need phone trainers. I currently have 6 phone trainers right now. I'm going to need an additional 4 in order to whittle those numbers down of people that need to be in phone trained about organizing, about advocating for these upcoming bills, for their peers, for their family members, for their loved ones. And so that's kind of like what we're focusing in on right now, is increasing our inside organizers. Ultimately, you know, we have 34,000 members. We want all 92,000 members, and then we want to start depleting that number as we start releasing our folks inside. And so hopefully we're defunding ourselves in the same process, but we're not going to give up until everybody actually has a viable opportunity to be able to be treated fairly and humanely. And that is not in incarceration. That is other community-based organizations stepping up and doing the work. And so the other thing that we want to do is to strengthen our newspaper. We just created a newspaper. We want to be able to strengthen that. Michelle and Crispy have been working very hard on the framework of it and putting the material of it together. And it's about educating. All of y'all have been talking about it all night. Education, not only with our family members and our loved ones, but those inside, educating them on the process and the rights that they have and the power that they have to actually change these laws and to move the needle back into a fair and equitable system. Other than that, we're going to create our IJAG curriculum. Currently right now, before COVID, we actually had peer-to-peer taught curriculums that deal with policy, advocacy, legislative process. Because of COVID, we had to pivot, we had to change, and we went into the phone training, and now we're going to go into correspondence too. Any way that we can reach our people, we're going to reach inside and be able to educate them and empower them to be able to make a difference, not only on their yards, but in their facilities and obviously in our communities that we live in out here. So that right there, I don't want to take too much more time. We're also looking into creating these into Spanish, also from not only English, but also Spanish. So that right there is going to be a little bit of a work for the IO committee and for the staff that's on board right now. So all of the additional volunteer and help that we can get from y'all is going to just go further to assist those inside, assist you, and assist our loved ones and our family members bring their loved ones home sooner. And like Greg said, we want to bring them home healthy and ready to be pro-social and contribute to their communities, to be able to take it back from the system. I think Betty was talking about the village and us uplifting uplifting one another and treating and taking care of our own. That's what we really want to do. So come join the IO committee again. And that's our vision of what we're going to be doing moving forward. I know that we're kind of pressed on time. So please, Daisy, if they have any questions, they can just drop them into the chat. I'll answer them as best as I can. If not, you can hit me up at lee@initiatejustice.org. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Daisy, so you can hand it off to Crystal.
Or you can also reach Lee at 1035 South Grand Avenue in Los Angeles.
Suite 300.
Thank you so much for that, Lee. We have several folks who are on the Inside Organizing Committee who are on this call. So thank you all so much for being part of that and really helping uplift them in that work. As I mentioned at the beginning, we actually have two of our former Inside organizers on the call, Rod and Adam. And Adam most recently came home in September, and I think Rod came home over the summer. So both of them were formerly Inside organizers, are now out here. And so really asking folks to really help in various ways that you can contribute to the Inside Organizing Committee and the work that we have in store for 2021. So any questions, feel free to email Lee or drop them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to pass it over to Crystal, who's going to talk about our Inside membership goals for the 2021 year.
Thank you, Daisy. So for Inside membership, we have the goal of recruiting more members, and we want to reach 50,000 members by the end of 2021. We will be doing this not only by what we've been doing before with like our newsletter, with our Inside members and our Inside organizers, but we also want to focus on strengthening our relationship with our members and building our power on the inside, which includes, for example, responding to mail on a timely manner, which is why we will be hosting more mail nights. And another way that we will be doing that is through a magazine that we will be launching next year. The magazine, which is going to be both in English and in Spanish, will be more free-spirited, visually creative, and more interactive in comparison to our newsletter. Our newsletter includes mostly policies and all of that jargon. So yes, so for example, we want to include artwork or poems submitted by our Inside members. And with all that being said, we will be rebuilding the Inside Membership Committee to encompass everything that I just talked about. And I need all of your help to make this possible. And I definitely want to hear about any ideas you may have, questions, concerns, anything at all. So if you're interested in joining my committee, it's this upcoming Wednesday, and I will drop my email in the chat. Thank you.
Thanks, Crystal. And a huge shout out to our volunteers who are consistent with the data entry. When we announced, put out that ask for help back in October, you know, people really came through and helped and stayed as volunteers and are doing this on their free time outside of the data entry night that we hosted back in October. So thank you so much to everybody who's been doing that. And that is part of the work that goes into the Inside membership goals that we have to really help us attain the goal that we have. We want to have 50,000 members next year to send out newsletters to. And so with your help, that really is going to help us push forward and to reach that goal. So again, reach out to Crystal, who will be managing our Inside Membership Committee, and the members from that committee will really help us get to the attain the goals that we have in place for that department. So thank you so much, Crystal, for that update. Again, questions for Crystal can be dropped in the chat or feel free to email her. And if you also want to become a data entry volunteer, email Crystal and she'll get you set up on that. So thank you so much, Crystal. Next are going to be updates regarding our outside organizing and membership. So I'll actually have my colleague Antoinette talk about the first part of that, and then I'll close it out with the second half of that.
Thank you, Daisy. And I'm just going to echo again what Daisy and Crystal have said. Again, shout out and we appreciate you to our volunteers. So I know we have some on this call: Diana, Crispy, MJ, Ryan, I think Cheryl's on this call, but we have so many data entry volunteers that are keeping our Inside members updated into our database. But along with our Inside membership and building that power, we always want to, of course, focus on building our outside power. And so in doing that, some things that we're going to be focusing on for our outside organizing next year is, again, our Institute of Impacted Leaders. We will be running 8 cohorts next year. That's going to be 4 in the spring, and in areas like Fresno. We're thinking of areas like Fresno, Orange County, San Fernando Valley, and South LA. We're also going to be doing 4 additional cohorts in the summer. Again, that Institute of Impacted Leaders survey that was plugged, and I'll add it to the chat again once I'm done. Make sure you fill it out to let us know where y'all want us to come. Because we need to build our political power, right? We need to educate ourselves to not only, like Lee was saying earlier, we have to gain ground and attack this system and abolish prisons from every aspect. So the more people we train up to literally impact and change that state legislation, the more power we will have. So make sure that you are getting involved. If you want to apply for the Institute of Impacted Leaders, our spring cohort applications will be posted as of January 25th. So at the end of January next year, look out for those applications and make sure that you fill them out. Like I said, we're increasing our capacity tremendously. So whereas before there may have been less capacity for participants, we have 4 cohorts that are going to be running in the spring and another 4 in the summer. So please do not hesitate to apply. We have tons of organizers on this call who have graduated from the Institute and can speak to how impactful it is to gain that experience in community organizing, in fighting for your rights and your loved ones' rights, and as well as directly changing state legislation here in California to abolish prisons. Along with our 8 cohorts that we're going to be launching, we're also going to be rolling out chapters. So everyone who has been involved, we greatly appreciate y'all for always tapping into our Los Angeles hub, but we are going to be launching cohorts in various communities, chapters in various communities, first based upon where we've already had our institute. We're going to have our outside organizers directly lead that. If you're interested in helping us develop that infrastructure for the chapters, leading a chapter, or you have ideas, make sure that you come to our outside organizer convening on December 5th. That's actually this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2:30, because that's where we will be doing some more groundwork to make sure that our chapters are going to not only serve our advocacy goals and our policy goals, but also serve y'all in the communities that y'all want to be served in and your loved ones. Because again, like we were saying, with abolition, we need to be able to allow our loved ones to come home to a society where they're welcome, a society where they feel activated, a society where they feel empowered. And in order to do that, it requires us. And as we build out those chapters, that's creating more communities where we know our loved ones will come home to those communities and they'll be able to be impactful and be empowered and live, a positive life that they want to. So that's our job. So make sure that you stay in tune. Again, outside organizers, make sure you're at our outside organizer convening. It's Zoom, so you don't have to drive anywhere. That's some of the benefits of us working remotely. So make sure you plug in RSVP. We'll be sending out the agenda as well as the Zoom link for y'all this later this week. And actually, I think that's pretty much it for my updates. Daisy's gonna go ahead and let y'all know some of the other things that we'll be doing to build our outside organizing and membership power next year.
Thanks, Antoinette. And for folks who maybe missed this part, Antoinette's our outside organizing coordinator. And so if there's any questions regarding the information that she just shared, feel free to email her. Antoinette, if you could drop your email in the chat, that way folks can connect with you. Or if you have any questions about the Institute, the location survey, feel free to reach out to her. We definitely are excited about this plan that we are rolling out next year. And so just to close us out before we wrap up our meeting, we also are looking to continue to build our outside membership structure. So that includes doing more outreach to get more folks to be aware about IJ, what we do here, how they can plug in, because we can't do this alone. We definitely are going to need a village, like Ms. Betty said, to get to the work that we need, especially as folks who maybe are familiar with who are on the call, the work that it takes to convince legislators when it comes to bills that we're working. We definitely need more folks to help us with that in key areas that maybe we don't have as many folks in there yet. So our goal really is to help increase the number of folks who are involved with our organization. So we are going to be having an outside membership committee that will be also launching next year. So that's something that Antoinette and I will be leading. So with that, we'll be asking folks who want to be part of that committee who can help us really push the word out with social media asks, with thinking of ideas for our member meetings and keep them as engaged as we can. And really just working on developing that structure because we had a really good year this year with folks coming in and staying tuned into our meetings via Zoom. Y'all are here on a what are we, Wednesday night. It's 8:15, and like, you know, we're so grateful for your time, your dedication. So just be aware that that's something that we are going to be working on in the upcoming year. And lastly, y'all help pass Prop 17. So what happens now? Implementation, next steps. And so that's something that we are going to be working on as well, is making sure that we can get that implemented properly and quickly and efficiently, because next year is an election year. You know, there's elections that will be taking place. We want to make sure folks know of their right now that we have all worked to pass Prop 17. So that's also going to be something that we're going to be working on. So, you know, thank you all so much for the work and getting us to where we are now. The implementation is the next part of that. And then, you know, that's also going to help us get closer to our goal of, you know, really abolishing the prison and jails and so forth. So thank you all so much. And so we do have a couple of minutes for questions. We have about 4 minutes before we close out the last part of the meeting. So if folks have any additional questions for any of the other committees, department presentations that we just did, feel free to unmute yourself or drop your question in the chat. And then we'll move on to the last portion of our agenda for tonight.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Thank you. So is the program for 2021 complete, or is it still possible to make some suggestions and have some discussion?
Are you talking about the Institute of Impacted Leaders curriculum, or which program are you referring to?
I'm talking more about, I think, probably would fall under the advocacy program. Maybe one other bill idea.
Yeah, Paul, I'm gonna jump in here. I'm gonna put my email in the chat. If you get in touch with me, we can definitely find time to connect on ideas and things like that.
Okay, you remember we talked before about AB 1810? Right?
Yes. Oh man, yeah. How's your son doing?
Well, he's still in there, and we're building a committee to, you know, carry out some of the stuff I talked to you about. But I'll talk to you offline later.
Yes, sir, definitely.
And I see Becky, you have your hand raised. So if you can unmute yourself and ask your question, that would be great.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. So further to Paul's question, I actually I had a suggestion for next year. I was wondering, I don't know how many people went to the penal code revision hearing a couple weeks ago, but they talked about a lot of really super important things. And one was just that the whole system of parole needs a complete overhaul, from the requirements to be granted parole, to the way the hearing process is, to what happens after parole. The whole thing needs to be overhauled. And I was wondering if there has been any talk about exploring that further within Initiate Justice.
So can I say something really quick, Daisy? So the governor vetoed a bill this year, AB 2342 by Senator McCarty, that would have taken some really great tangible steps to address parole, right? And to address some of these common issues you're talking about. So the governor has shown us that he does not want to address parole, right? So other amazing advocates are gonna run it back, are gonna keep him and keep pushing. But the governor has let us know that he doesn't think we know what we're doing, and we don't have good solutions for addressing parole. So I just wanted to really give a shout out to Esteban Nunez and Michael Mendoza. They were the two men who wrote AB 2342. They worked on it for 3 years, finally got it passed. And then our golden boy governor, Gavin Newsom, decided to veto that bill. So there are already really bold ideas in front of him that he has decided to veto. So I'm sure a future version of that will come back next year. IJ will probably be in a supportive role for that instead of leading it. And Becky, I can keep you posted on what that looks like. But I just wanted to call out that like there's already ideas on the governor's desk that he thinks is okay to veto, which is 100% unacceptable. And we should never forget what he did this year with the veto messages. I am still very, very upset.
Same. Thank you.
And I just dropped it in the chat. The Penal Code Review Committee is meeting December 10th, and they're going to be voting on their recommendations. And what we're hoping is that they will include recommendations on making credit earning retroactive and applying credits off of earliest possible release dates, including youth offender dates or elder parole dates. Those are recommendations that Greg and I submitted to them. So we will find out on December 10th what recommendations they plan on making to the governor and the legislature.
Thanks, Greg and Taina. And just wanted to quote Greg's last words, never forget. There is a very passionate speech by Greg at our last, I believe, meeting. So all of our meetings are on YouTube if you want to go back and catch that. But to Greg's point, right now, it's Governor Newsom who really has presented a problem for us to get things through. So along with our advocacy efforts that we're doing at the legislature, make sure that you're also letting Governor Newsom know, what your thoughts are, because if he's going to be a block to the goal that we're trying to get to, we need to keep pushing him and letting him know where we stand at. I know some folks on this call have done heavy targeting for Governor Newsom on social media, so keep doing that, and let's keep holding him accountable, letting him know that we are not going to go anywhere. So he needs to get on with the program because we've got things we need to do so that way we can bring our loved ones home. So just wanted to share that out. So thank you so much for that, Greg. And so any additional questions, feel free to email us. Again, we'll drop our emails in the chat again for y'all. But in the meantime, I'll move it on to our next, our closing portion of tonight's meeting. So every month we announce a member of the month, and this is a member that we determine as a group that we want to recognize for their contributions to our organization, whether it be in a committee that they're involved with or various committees that some folks in the past have been shown. So I'll let Greg go ahead and announce our member of the month to close out the year for 2020.
Yeah, thank you. I was like furiously scrolling to see if this member is still here. I think they may have left. But in any event, it's my privilege to announce our member of the month. This person is a really close friend of mine. Damn, Anna, are you here? The member of the month is Anna. I really want to say more. I don't even know if she's here though. I'm like looking and looking.
We are recorded though, so go ahead.
Okay, yes, thank you, Lee. Good motivation. So Anna and I met in law school. We were like the only two people who cared about social justice in like our whole class, and we like clicked from the jump. And we have now both left law school because we care about social justice, and that's not a place to go if you do care about those things. But Anna and I left at the same time. She got very involved with IJ, and she's just been at like every committee, every month. Ironic I say that now when she's not here for this one to receive the praise, but Anna has been like a really, really big supporter of IJ. I'm gonna text her right now, tell her she missed out. But just wanna send her some love, and we'll send her this recording or whatever, but we'll get her some swag and everything. But Anna is the member of the month.
Yay, Anna. Anna, if you are watching this later, at whatever timestamp we put here for you to watch, congratulations on being member of the month. There are people in the chat, and I see y'all going in there to congratulate Anna. But thank you so much for, Anna has actually been very involved in our advocacy committee. So, thank you so much, Anna, for being a part of that, and also, you know, being part of the Prop 17 work. Anna participating in a video that we had asked folks to record themselves with the messaging for Prop 17. So Anna also played a role in that and helping us, you know, pass that proposition. So thank you so much, Anna, for your contribution to Initiate Justice. It does not go unnoticed. You are Member of the Month for December 2020 and wrapping us out for the year. So when you are watching this, know that we are very appreciative of you. There's a lot of folks who are doing snazzle razzle thumb things for you. So
we have a lot of congrats in the chat for you. Crystal also says she's been really active in the healing committee. Shayla said congratulations. Adam, Paul, Myra saying congratulations. So congrats to you, Anna, and thank you so much for your devotion to our work and just helping us push this forward, because it really takes all of us. It really does.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Greg. Just wanted to close us out by stating that, again, we are going to be closed the last 2 weeks of December. If you have not signed in yet, please make sure you sign in. We are trying to get post meeting recap sent out to anybody who attended tonight and to anybody who's on our email list in general by the end of this week. That will have all of the information that we shared out from tonight's meeting. Our next member meeting and our first member meeting of 2021 will take place on Wednesday, January 6th at 6:30. So, you know, by then we'll have our game plan ready to go. Our committees will be back up and running, and we're going to be ready for an eventful year to really start getting back to work into our goals to move towards abolition. So again, sign in if you haven't done so. If you are a new member, this is your first time coming to an Initiate Justice meeting, please stay. We actually do an orientation for new members. Antoinette and I will be going over what the membership structure looks like, who we are, how do we do this work, and it's only about 10 or 15 minutes, so please hang out for that. And otherwise, thank you everybody for joining us, and we hope we will stay in touch with all of y'all on social media, and we hope to see you next January. So Happy New Year, everybody. Happy holidays if you celebrate. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank y'all and good night. Anna's coming back in. Wait a minute, I'm admitting Anna. Can we give Anna a congratulations before we all go? I think Greg got her on here. Anna, are you here?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
No, Anna, we wanted to make a very special announcement that you are the Member of the Month. We gave like a receipt and everything.
Thank you. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm in Hawaii, so it's only 6:30 here. So my sister called me for dinner. Sorry.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. We just want to give you a moment to recognize you, let you know how much IJ appreciates you, everything you do for us, and you're a really, really valued member of the team. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Congrats, Anna.
Thank you, Anna.
Oh, thank you all. Thank you.
Congratulations.
And Anna, we recorded all the congratulations. So after you are done eating your dinner, we'll upload the video and we'll tell you where you need to click on the timestamp so you can watch all of the congratulations.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone.
Aloha.
Hello.
Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next year. New members, please hang out. Antoinette and I will do our new member orientation. See everybody else in 2021. Happy New Year.
Saturday.
Happy New Year, y'all.
Thank you and congratulations, Anna.
Thank you so much.